Welcome to FX Masterclass, and my name is Ernest Rowe. And today's topic, we're going to reassemble the Impact M3. Now, before we assemble, you need to go on the FX website, support, and go to Impact M3 to cover all the necessary O-ring you need to replace. All right, you need to totally clean the gun out, replace all the O-ring. So this reassembly is going to be quicker without me explaining each pieces, each sizes. It takes too long. So go to your FX website, support a complete diagram, how to install the right O-ring size and everything. All right, first thing, we're going to reassemble the pistol grip regulator. All right, make sure you got the right stack. Usually it's 11, come in pairs, and a single one facing up. All right, make sure it's all looped up. And also, there's an O-ring in here. If it wasn't leaking before, it's not necessary to replace it. It's a little bit tedious to replace it, and you could easily damage the sealing surface. All right, to put it in, you need your tool again. So we can insert it down there. When it's flush, need to hold it down, pull the tool off. It's in there. Now your regular body. You don't tighten really tight. You can feel you squeezing the O-ring and suddenly stops. That's all you need to do, just stop. All right. Then your regular screw. Don't confuse it between the second one and the bottle reg. Totally different. One has only one O-ring. The pistol O-ring, adjustment screw has two O-rings. Put it in. What you want to do for a starting point, bottom it out gently, back it out 2.5 turns. Probably get you around 100, 110 bars, 2.5 turns, about that. All right, now we're going to assemble the bottle gear regulator. Here's your retainer. Make sure you did all your cleaning, all the O-rings replaced. All right, and there's another tedious O-ring inside his body. It's right in the middle. It's a 2x1. That one is tricky to get out, but if it wasn't leaking, I would just leave it in there. All right, the stack on this one, the new one, like 2 up. Make sure the cup facing up. There's 2 of them. Make sure it's clean. And 2 down. And the spring's a lot smaller. Okay. 2 up, 2 down. Up, down. There you go. Now, you have to slide it in like this. And see how it sits, just like that. The brass retainer. goes over it, flush. O-ring sits above that. There's a little groove for it. Like that. Flip it over. Put your regular adjustment screw. You want to screw it in till it passes the shoulder. Usually buttered up with the piston. Put on your retainer, over travel retainer there. And you gently seat it. Then back out your regular adjustment screw, back it out all the way till it hits this retainer. Just screw it in about one and a half turns. It'll get you in a ballpark to adjust it later. All right, now we need the handy dandy vise again to torque your regulator in place. All right, put the action on our vise here. All right. Make sure your O-ring is all lubed up. Make sure the O-ring is there. And slowly screw it on. Now, you're not going to apply too much torque on this. Just make sure it's really snug. All right, because when there's a lot of pressure here, this baby is not going to unscrew very easily. All right. A little tool. Well, you could use anything else. You could use something else besides this washer, as long you don't want to gouge it up. All right. If you're really careful, keep this straight. It's not really going to, you know. You can see me how much torque I'm applying. I'm not really, applying that much torque. Remove your safety washer. All right. There. The vise out of the way. All right, next component, we're going to reinstall the trigger assembly. There's your trigger. Where you got the little pin. Now, when you slide it in, first thing you got to find where the hole on upper shear, where the hole goes in. The spring goes into that slot. You can see it fall in place. Then you align your Pac-Man and insert your pin. There you go. Put the cover on. Oop. It's tricky, guys. All right, cycle trigger, doesn't jam. Now, let's put your trigger guard. So we put a bipod on it. So better, easier to reassemble. Now, let's see. Use this for now. Now, I'm going to assemble the rear end, so it'll be easier to slap them together. All right. The valve housing goes in your plenum. All right. Remember where the set screw is at? Has to line up with this one. Okay. All right, the set screw hole and the set screw seat has to line up right, so it would fall in that little divot. All right, don't have to be really that tight. Then we're going to put into the rear block. Set screw is going to sit here. Side to side, gently put it in. A little click. All right. Now we put your gauge bracket on. It's a little tricky. Remember, two small ones towards the front. And put your plug back on. All right. Now, front part of the plenum, there's just a little divot here. Make sure it's facing up. Goes like. You gotta be gentle with this. This hole is like a guillotine. If you force it in there really fast, it's gonna cut the O-ring. Just give it time to squeeze the O-ring in without, and you get less damage on the O-ring. Keep an eye where the divot's at. Make sure where the crack is at and the clamp is facing up. Then we tighten it down. All right. Now we got your valve rod. Make sure you really clean it. All the Loctite thread seal totally removed. Lightly lube. Put it inside. After, there's O-rings in here, 2 of them. That. You want to keep it in this position or here. So the screw on the plenum. Now when it bottoms out, back it out. Like that. And we're going to put the hammer system in here. Your hammer. Spring. Make sure it's all clean. Spring guide, hammer weight. Going like that. Now, if you had the slug kit and everything like that, it could be a little different. A little washer here. All right. Goes like that. Got to push it all the way in. All right. There we go. Now we're going to put a reg gauge on. Make sure the O-ring's there. Flip it over. Just snug. All right. Before totally reassemble everything, I like to pressurize it because you want to find out later it's leaking. But I want to do a really quick check on all the major seals. What you do, you push your valve all the way back and push it, right? And put your finger here, make sure everything, the hammer system falls out, and look on the back side. Make sure the valve rod is flush, is touching the seat. All right. We're going to pressurize it. All right. When you pressurize it, you want to do it slow. Push this valve rod with your finger. All right, push it, kind of gentle. You just want to push a little bit, pretending you're a spring, but actually the pressure is actually going to force it shut more. You hear it? See it's calming down. See how I did it? I'm forcing it shut, and it's not leaking anywhere else. All right, because I don't think there's enough pressure in this bottle to keep it shut, and the spring there helps it shut. So it's not leaking right anywhere else. You can let go of it, let it bleed off, and we'll continue assembling the top portion. All right, when the pressure's gone, pull out your valve rod, and we'll put the C1 back on. You put the blue Loctite on here. And remove the C1. Rest it all the way. and sometimes it wants to spring out. You just got to put this power wheel on minimum, on 1. So if you had it on a higher setting, it wants to push, the spring wants to push it out or valve open. Because we want to take a measurement here, or there's a certain adjustment, clearance has to be. I think it's 5.5. All right, it's on there. Put the, put the body in. Like I told you, act like a clearance on here. The C1 sticks out. You usually need to get a caliper. I remember you need to look at the last video. I did this before, how to set the clearance here. All right. We'll put on the link the video I made just to set that setting. All right. When you set that, you put the valve body on, valve adjuster body. Now always use a socket on this because it's easy to strip this. You get equal torque with the socket. You don't go crazy on this, just a little bit. Like that. Spring back on. Well, just through. You just screw in line 4 as a starting point. If you knew what it was before, I would screw onto that position. All right, ready to assemble the top portion. This cocking assembly. Easiest way to do this one is slide it from the rear first. Probe goes in. Align this baby. Just like that. Kind of heavy, one flip over. All right. Make sure it turns freely like this, because sometimes the cocking pin is above the hammer and it seize up on you. All right. Then tighten down fully. All right. Your barrel support. Top rail. Okay. Gonna wiggle the rear end, partially align it. Now we're going to use the barrel as a guiding rod there. Keep these two independent sections aligned before we torque all the nuts in. On. Slowly. Yeah, we don't need to tighten it down. We just making sure the whole assembly is aligned. And torque it down. Ooh, here it is. We want to get them all started. That means it's a good sign you assembled it right. If it's all off, none of these screws will align right. All right, now I like to test this and slide in and out, especially to this rear block. If it's aligned properly, you shouldn't have to force the barrel side to side to get it into the hole. All right. As you can see, the brass piece right there. I'll tighten it down. Now we'll put the scope rail on. First one is always kind of just snug. I'm going to tighten the other two in back. All right. Check rest. Remember to cycle the gun. It cocks and it goes off. Safe, doesn't go off, so we're ready to pressurize it. All right, screw bottle on. And you gotta listen. There's no obvious leak blowing anywhere because we did our pre-check leak check. All right, we're going to take some friendly fire on our shooting target there. Make sure it probes them. There you go. Impact M3 fully assembled. And next step is to tune it. That'll be our next video. All right, if you have any questions, remarks, comments, requests, leave it down below, and we'll catch you in the next video.